In this video, we're going to be talking about animal attacks, avoiding them, surviving them, and all of the rest. Stick around. I want to encourage you to stick around to the end of this short video. I'm going to have several real-life clips and examples throughout. One thing we don't have to do is complicate this subject. There's a lot of ways we can avoid animal attacks. There's a lot of ways we can survive them. We know these attacks are very common. They're common in our neighborhoods. They're common in our city streets even. They're common out here in the wild. We can summarize this whole issue in one of two ways. Number one, you can avoid the areas where these four-legged assailants roam altogether, which is not realistic. Or number two, you can simply be prepared to deal with them if you encounter them. That's the more realistic way. The kind of animals we're obviously talking about in this video are the ones that will attack humans on their own. There's a lot of animals out in the wild that won't mess with you if you don't mess with them. But you're crazy if you're walking around in an environment where there could be rabid animals, dogs, wild dogs, bears, mountain lions, cougars, or anything like that without some kind of equalizer. If you're in bear country without bear spray, a really big gun, and a really big knife, you're crazy. I believe the top three defensive tools against animals in the wild would either be some form of spray, a blade for close quarter contact, and a sufficient firearm. Now, if you can't own or carry a firearm and you're walking through territory where there are creatures big enough to eat you, I wouldn't go there without at least something like this. This is just a stick with a cold steel Bushman attached to the end of it, or some kind of good spear point to put between you and that creature. You could use something like this as your walking stick. You always want to make sure your spear is right above you. You don't want your spear tip to be here in case you trip. You could walk around with this on the top just to keep yourself safe, have a walking stick. If something bad enough comes along, you've got something to put between you and that creature. If you're walking around in the neighborhood, you don't want to carry a knife or a firearm. Maybe you could carry a stick with a point. You could put a little spear point on that thing, just something that you could keep something at bay. One time, two strange dogs came right here on my grounds and they would not leave. And I tried to yell at them to get them to leave, and they stayed there for a long time. I live in a neighborhood. I didn't want to be out there firing shots if they got aggressive with me. I pulled out my Bushman and I walked out to the grounds. I didn't want to use it, but I had it with me, and I ran them dogs off. I held this spear up. I kept yelling at them. I had my Bushman with me, and they ran off and didn't come back. They looked mangy and probably just were out roaming. But I could tell they didn't like me too much when I came around and told them to leave, so I wanted to have something like this to put between me and them. Let's talk about some examples. Because attacks can happen on the trail, out in the wild, out hiking. They can happen right in your neighborhood. They can happen right in your yard. Such as the time that this rabid fox came out of nowhere and attacked this woman. Just right in her yard, and he sticks to her like glue, and very hard to get him off of her. When something like that happens, you better have a way to get that animal off of you if you're not able to shake them off. Something like this. Or what about walking in a neighborhood and a strange dog who looks suspicious is making his way towards you? What are you going to do if you're not carrying anything? You are at the mercy of that dog. What if there is no mercy in that dog? Do you have something to spray him with? Do you have something to pierce him with if he latches onto you and starts tearing your arm apart? Thankfully, in this case, this little girl had a dog to protect her. Even if it's some pepper spray or a pocket knife or a fixed blade or something to put between you and that animal. Listen, I love dogs, but in this context, you've got to be prepared to defend yourself against them. You've got to be prepared to get them off of you if they latch on. There are dog breeds out here that can take you out. All it takes is one pit bull getting loose. I'm sorry, man, I like pit bulls, but they're the usual suspects a lot of times because a lot of people who own these very capable dogs are not training them properly. Let's talk about the wild and the story of Gene Moe, who defended himself against a grizzly bear with a buck 110 folding knife. He literally killed the grizzly bear and survived the attack with a buck 110 folding knife. Now, what if he didn't have that little folding knife? There's a lot of people out here in that situation. They go walking on the trail with nothing but a walking stick. They go walking on the trail with no type of firearm, no spray, no blades, and this is why they get erased. My everyday carry is always spray, blade, firearm, no matter where I go, whether I'm walking city streets or whether I'm walking a trail. How about this guy right here who got backed down the trail from an oncoming cougar? He had a firearm, but it was not within his reach. It was in his pack. It was not available to him. If you're going to carry protective items, make sure you can get to them very quickly because a cougar is very fast. This guy walks right up on a mountain lion. That mountain lion was getting ready to have lunch, and had this guy not been armed, he'd have been taken out.
You get back.
Now, if you go back and watch the full video, he wasn't willing to get back and he wasn't backing down, and the guy had to shoot him. Here's my point. Everywhere that we walk, there are animals. Even if you're walking in your neighborhood, there are dogs, and these dogs can get on the loose. Even if you're just in your backyard, rabid animals can get on the loose. A rabid raccoon, a rabid fox. Everywhere that you and I go, we face the potential of coming in contact with an animal that's out to get us. This is why I believe everybody should have some sort of a blade on them. Everyone, at all times, everyone should have a blade. The animals have fangs, they have claws. What about your claws? There are some parts of the world that I just won't go because of the animal life that is around. You have to pick and choose your areas, and if you choose to go through certain areas where you know animals are, not only do you need the proper tools, but you need to know how to get through that land and how to avoid these situations altogether to the best of your ability. There's times you may see a certain animal off in a distance. You need to be quiet and move the other direction. You may not go that direction. You may need to change course. Some people are not even willing to do that. You may be in a situation where you get attacked by a dog and he grabs your arm. Well, at least you've got another hand to grab something else. Some people may just choose to grapple the animal or wrestle them. There was a story of one guy who had to choke his pit bull to death who attacked him. It was his own pet, and he had to choke him out. You're in the wild, you have a very large animal coming towards you. You better have something to shoot him with. If they get you on the ground, you better have a good blade. We could go on and on, but let's conclude this video. You either got to avoid the areas where these animals roam, which is not realistic, or you can have the tools you need to protect yourself if you're unable to avoid them. People's problem is they don't have what they need to protect themselves from these animals, and they're not aware of these animals, they're not aware of their behavior, and they're not thinking about the possibility that these things can happen. But those who understand this are prepared. It's just that simple. Take care.